Hi folks, welcome back to another episode of Investment Income for Life. This year has been a special year for me with two stock picks reaching 100% in return. One is my investment in Ping, an insurance group which I have already sold off everything to take profit, while the other is Keppel Ltd. This is my current top performing holding with a return of 104% after the recent strong rally in share price. Previously, a number of social media folks were very skeptical of its new strategy to focus on developing its recurring income business. Also, many condemned the high leverage employed by Keppel Ltd. Finally, this year turned up extremely well for Keppel Ltd. I attribute it mainly to the Payout effect. Good job overall by the senior management team of Keppel Ltd. It is good that the market has finally acknowledged the transformation by Keppel Ltd. into an asset-light fund management model with more stable recurring income. I have sold off around 25% of my holdings to lock in part of the capital gain. Do I think that Keppel Ltd. Still a good buy at this juncture? I will address this in the final part of my video. For now, I have a whinge against the dividend announcement published in local media that seems a bit confusing, and we'll talk about this issue first. 1. Final dividends is 47 Singapore cents. The ambiguous dividends totality in most media is further compounded by the Straits Times and Business Times that state that Keppel Ltd. has declared a final dividend of 47 Singapore cents per share. So is this referring to the overall total dividends for FY 2025 or the second half final dividend tranche? As it turns out, the news media have been rather loose in their reporting these days. 47 Singapore cents per share should not be crafted as final dividend, rather, I think the correct wording should be total dividend for FY 2025. This is because 47 Singapore cents per share of final dividends reported by the Straits Times and Business Times actually comprises of an interim cash dividend of 15 Singapore cents per share that was already paid out in August 2025. We thus have no choice but to deep dive into the original announcements by Keppel Ltd. As seen above from Keppel's presentation deck. The final dividends is actually only 19 Singapore cents per share and not 47 Singapore cents per share. Hence, total normalized dividends payout rate is only 34 Singapore cents per share, interim 15 Singapore cents plus final 19 Singapore cents. Also, market price of Keppel Ltd. is 12 Singapore dollars and 86 cents per share as at the close of trading of the 16th of February 2026, Monday. This translates to a normalized annual dividend yield of 2.6%. This is actually an extremely low yield without the special dividends. 2. Special dividends clarification. Also, the mainstream media has been rather ambiguous on the nature of the 13 Singapore cents per share of special dividends. As per above extract from Keppel's presentation deck, the 13 Singapore cents is made up of two components. Firstly, cash dividend of 2 Singapore cents per share, and secondly, dividend in specie of 1 KREIT unit for every 9 Keppel shares held, which is equivalent to 11 Singapore cents per share. This valuation is based on Keppel REIT's closing price of 98 Singapore cents per unit on the 3rd of February 2026, as well as Keppel's issued share capital of 1,801,659,827 shares as at the 31st of December 2025. I would think that the valuation of this from retail investor point of view would be the upcoming ex-dividend date, whereby the legal obligation has been fully transferred to the hands of shareholders, hence it may not be really 98 Singapore cents per unit at that juncture. As a matter of fact, its price as at the 16th of February 2026 has already dropped to 95 Singapore cents per unit. 2a. Illustrative example of quantum of special dividends. Assumption 1. Assuming one is holding on to 9,900 Keppel Ltd. shares. The final dividends due after AGM approval will be 1,881 Singapore dollars, 19 Singapore cents per share x 9,900 shares. Assumption 2. Also, to further illustrate how the dividend in specie works, assuming same 9,900 Keppel Ltd. shares. So the investor would be entitled to 1,100 units of Keppel REIT, 9,900 shares divided by 9. So the special dividend in specie would be 1,078 Singapore dollars, 1,100 units x 98 Singapore cents per unit. Add on the special cash dividends. In such case, one would get cash special dividends of 198 Singapore dollars. Hence total special dividend awarded will be 1,296 Singapore dollars in special cash dividend and dividend in specie. The total upcoming final dividends in such a scenario will thus be 3,177 Singapore dollars. 3. Ex-dividends and payout dates. The ex-dividend date for the final dividend is the 27th of April 2026, while the payout date is on the 8th of May 2026. So, take note of these key dates if you are an investor of Keppel Ltd. 4. Parting thoughts. Keppel Ltd still a good buy? Personally, I will not buy any more of Keppel Ltd at this juncture, as I think that it is overvalued from a dividend investing strategy perspective. Its normalized dividend yield of 2.6%, as previously discussed in point 1 above, is too low for me at its current market price of 12 Singapore dollars and 68 cents per share. My entry price for this investment is around 6 Singapore dollars and 45 cents. I do not think that there is any fundamental change since my first purchase, as the senior management of Keppel Ltd has already announced their new strategy of fund management and focus on recurring income 2 years ago. The only exception is that Piyush has joined the board of Keppel Ltd, but take note that it is a non-executive role, and this seemed to be the main reason folks are chasing after Keppel Ltd. This is probably due to Piyush's stellar track record in transforming DBS before leaving it and joining Keppel Ltd. I called it the Piyush's effect. Last but not least, the new FY 2026 seems to have already another special dividend guaranteed for next year payout. This is because the 1 billion Singapore dollars cash sales proceed of M1 will only be counted towards FY 2026, and Keppel Ltd management has mentioned that they will be returning back part of all successful monetization efforts, 10%, 15%, in the form of special dividends to shareholders. Okay, that's all folks. Have a great week ahead.